Hopefully that'll help.
Call the meeting to order and ask if I could get a motion to go into closed session with definitions and to add Jeff Richardson to be able to stay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion based on the Code of Virginia, Section 2.2-3711. We go into closed session to discuss A6, which is discussion or consideration of the investment of public funds where competition or bargaining is involved, and A5, which is industrial business prospects, and to invite Mr. Richardson to stay into whichever one is applicable to him and his information.
Got a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, again, I do because I feel we're not being descriptive enough, so.
Okay. I'll call the meeting back to order. Welcome, everybody. Got a room full. So glad to see all the faces. First thing I need is well, I'm just going to go ahead and do the pledge and the invocation first, and then we'll go to our closed session motion. So I have Joanna Bryant to, thank you, to say the pledge, and Kendra Hayden will do the invocation. If you would, please, Kendra.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support. Fill us with your grace as decisions are made that affect all citizens of Smyth County. Continue to remind us that all we do and all we accomplish is for your glory. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ladies. Now I need a motion for what we discussed in closed session, please.
Chairman, I make a motion based on the Code of Virginia, Section 2.2-3711. We went into closed session to discuss A5, industrial business prospects, and A6, discussion or consideration of the investment of public funds where competition or bargaining is involved.
We've got a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
Again, Mr. Chairman, I feel we're not being descriptive enough going in and out of closed session.
Thank you. Need a motion for the adoption of the agenda as presented and the additional agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Need a motion for the minutes of the previous meeting from May the 14th, 2019.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Before I get into the financial status, I'd just like to thank you. That's, our monitors are brand new. Tonight's the maiden voyage of those, so the citizens can see what's on the agenda, and we can actually see them too. We've got them as well, but that was for the public's perspective, so thank you. We're going to have a ball game on here after a while. Mr. Carter, if you do the financial status, please.
Well, sir, I would like to point out that since this is a maiden voyage, sometimes there are technical difficulties that go along with that. So if your screen goes black or something happens, don't panic. We'll make it happen. So somewhere before you should have a packet of stapled together information. The top report says revenue summary on it. And again, I'll go down through these hidden spots. If you look at the, starts at page 2, general fund is a fund that we always look at first. So if you go down to the bottom of the year-to-date column, you'll see that we've collected in revenue $24,804,434.12. go across to the right, the balance is 295,754. We've collected, about 98.8%. That's pretty close to 100 on that. So if you continue on through this, these are additional listings of the other funds that are associated with the county. If you go all the way back to what is page 6, that will be the end. And I'm trying to see Kelly leaning over here and finding the numbers, so I'll stall for a minute as she gets to that. But if you get to page 6, you'll see at the bottom, this is the total of all funds. Again, if you go to the year-to-date column, a total of all funds revenue, $76,191,612.89. There's an uncollected 13%. So as we go through this next report, which is the opposite, the expenditure report, keep that $76,191,612 in mind. The next page starts out with page 1. It's again the expenditure version of the same report. Fund 1 is on the front page, year to date. Go down to the bottom of the column, you'll see $18,795,238.40. We have a remaining balance of about 24%. So as we flip through this page, when you compare your Fund 1 revenues to your Fund 1 expenditures, your revenues are about $6,009,195 over your Fund 1 expenditures this time throughout the budget. Pages 2, 3, 4, and 5 are the supporting fund totals. Again, if you go to page 5 and you look at the one fund there, 770, look at the bottom on the year-to-date, you'll notice that it's $71,204,075.05. So throughout every fund in the county, your difference in revenue over expenditures for this reporting period is $4,987,537.84. So that is a snapshot of your expenditures and your revenues. Your next report, and we'll get better as we keep going. But it'll be a department listing, and basically this is a picture of each of the departments under the Board of Supervisor, the expenditure amounts for each one for this month last year and this month this year. In the far column, we'll see the pluses and minuses. Again, if you go to the bottom of that report, you'll see in June of 19, we had total expenditures $860,147.63. In June of 18, $1,077,709.53. So we're $217,561.90 less in the expenditures of those departments for this reporting period.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Is the police activity, is that a direct reflection of the savings from what the general did with the transports, or have we started seeing any of that?
I don't know that that's entirely representative.
Okay.
But as I get those details in, I'll be sure I forward those to you. The next report is basically a fiscal year report from 11/12, dating back to 11/12 all the way up to 18/19. And if you look along those bottom numbers, in 17/18 you'll see a $5,683,291.24 difference, positive difference in your deposits versus expenditures. In your 18/19, which we're in now, there's a $6,347,741.14 number. So that difference alone is $664,449.90 in greater deposits than expenditures. The last set of numbers are the reports that come from the Treasurer's Office. And as you recall, we've combined these reports, tried to put comparing years on the same page so that it makes it easier to look at. And real quickly on a snapshot, I'll start with the 2018 numbers. If you look at deposits in 2018, we had $5,683,152.03. In 19, we had $5,693,55.71. So very close. There was a $7,203.68 addition in 19, but very close on the deposits for both months of separate years. The expenses in 2018 was $6,521,635.91. In 19, they're $6,728,523.18. So the expenses in 19 is higher by $206,887.27. As you recall, we received the Sholey Commonwealth Opportunity Fund, so that was recognized in this reporting period. Next month, that'll be listed down below in the CDs that you see a couple other COF awards in. You get to your subtotals in 18 was $10,093,591.81, and 19 is $10,514,147.66. So your subtotal amount was $420,555.85 greater in 19 than 18. And then you get to your unspent appropriations for the year. In 18, we had an unspent appropriation of $487,034.48, and in 19 we had $643,451.46. So there's a greater amount of unspent in 19 by $156,416.98. So that gets you to your balance. That's where you need to be comparing the balance of 5/31/18. You had $9,606,557.33. And 5/31 of 19, you had $9,876,96.20. So a year ahead, you've actually increased your balance by $264,138.87. There are a few other identifiers down through there, which include the police activity fund and some CDs. You certainly can see those. If you flip to the next page, you'll see a breakdown of the unspent appropriations that I just identified and how they relate to the general county, social services, and the school program. Again, your balance on May 31 is $9,876.96.20. Your appropriations listing today is greater than that, but we had a finance meeting yesterday that tallied the remaining revenues collected over the last week, and I'm happy to say that for the second year in a row, you have enough funds in your available balance to consider appropriating your full request today.
Of over $10 million.
That's correct.
That's fantastic.
The last report in that sequence is a Treasurer's Accountability Report. These are numbers that are tracked by the Treasurer's Office that identify multiple things, including investments, loans, taxes, just a whole host, fund balances. If you have any questions regarding any of those, please let me know. Mr. Chairman, as I mentioned before, you do have the available balance to consider a full appropriation today.
It's not something we've been able to say all the time, so that's great, without having to have a special call meeting at the end of the month. We're a little bit past, so I'm going to go ahead and open citizens' time. It's set for 5:15. Oh, yeah. Like everybody's watching a movie out there. Rob Farmer. Please state your name and address for the record, please, sir.
Rob Farmer, 2221 Highway 16, Marion, Virginia.
Thank you.
Here speaking for the Smyth County Public Library. As always, we thank the county for its financial support of all our services to provide publications, educational programming, and digital resources for all of Smyth County, and that's a long-term investment in our community that we very much appreciate. Tonight, I wanted to, speaking of these programs, is we're starting our annual summer reading program at all 3 locations, which provides programming for everyone from, infancy through grown-ups. And so we hope maybe you could stop by the library, whichever of the 3 locations that we have, and sign up for the adult summer reading program, so you can, probably get valuable prizes that way. Our family events at all 3 locations start on Thursday, with our initial programming being usually our highest attended program of the year, Snakes Alive, which features a lot of different snakes, which you can learn about and hold and touch and learn about up close and personal. So we would definitely want you to take advantage of all these programs, and if you have any information about any of the programs or offerings we have at any location, please stop by the library. We're always welcome to serve everybody, and hope to see you all there this summer.
Thank you for your work and dedication. Thank you. That's all that signed up to speak at Citizens Time. Is there anyone else wishing to speak?
I'll speak.
Okay. If you would state your name and address for the record, please, ma'am.
Sure. My name is Leanne Franklin. I live at 318 Matheson Road, Saltville, Virginia.
Okay.
As you can see that I'm here, and a bunch of our fellow teachers are all here. They're all dressed in red. I, of course, am not. I've been gone all day. But we are here because we are very much concerned about our salaries. It seems that some of us are only clearing maybe $200 or $300 more a month since maybe 8 years ago. And we were also very concerned about our insurance. And we would like to, I know our insurance is the same as the school board, but I'd like to know if you all have any suggestions, any thoughts on how to get our rate of pay increased. And I'm sure maybe others would like to speak. They're all looking at me like I'm the spokesperson. And but I think that we're all concerned. And for those of us who have to cover our family insurance, I don't have that. Who has family insurance? Anybody? Okay, family insurance.
But I have a double credit, so it's not as expensive, but I do know it's feasible for a single person working for the school system. It's $1,400 a month.
Mm-hmm. And that's quite a lot of money if you're the only person that's working in the school system and or the only person that is able to carry insurance. That really cuts into your take-home pay. So, we're all here and we're all concerned about our salaries and our insurance, and we're just looking for the help to see what you all can do to maybe boost our salaries a little bit. I mean, I think Smyth County is one of the lowest paid counties in Virginia, or maybe the 3rd or 4th from the bottom, and I know it deals with revenue. I know it does. But we're just looking for a little bit of help.
And I will be the first to stand up on your side of the fence and understand exactly what you're saying. Education runs deep in my family and has for generations back. I totally understand where you're coming from. I would like to say to you, without any offense whatsoever, is that I know tonight on our agenda is we do have the school's budget to approve tonight, which we had the public hearing for that last month. And then I don't know if the school system has a hearing prior to...
Your all's public hearing was in March?
Yeah. So, and trust me, I sympathize because, like I said, I'm close to it, and I know there are other board members up here as well, and
Every 28th, 30th, and 31st of the month, I'm reminded of.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not passing the buck by any means. The school board handles the school. We fund the local portion of the school's budget, but there's a lot of state monies and revenues that come in to make up the school's budget. And my advice is that's where that conversation needs started before it comes to the county's end of approving the budget or not. I mean, I'm happy to listen to you guys or anybody that wants to speak on that behalf, but, the process, and I don't know if you understand how that process works. I just trying to make that clear is that the school does have their public hearing, and then
Now, when
we
is the
have,
school's public hearing?
It was in March.
It was in March.
yes.
Is this listed on the website?
It is, and it's advertised. It's advertised, and I know and Mr. Carter, not putting you on the spot, but you guys have a meeting prior to you coming and having a public hearing with us as well. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
For public input? Yeah. So, I mean, our county's budget committee meets with the school board's budget committee, and we don't do that but usually one time and discuss the budgets and, what the school is proposing to do. And then when we have our public hearings, that's where we take public comment time from any citizens, because at that point in time, it is a proposed budget. It's not a set-in-stone budget, just like ours tonight. We're having a public hearing on the county budget tonight. That's a proposed budget. So we've had those processes, and I'm sorry if you didn't know that those processes were in play, but they're advertised just like our meeting tonight is, and our budget has been. So,
Okay.
but I'm totally sympathetic for the situation you're in. So,
Not just me, it's my fellow teachers here.
Ma'am, I totally understand.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
may I please say a few words?
Sure.
First of all, I would like to commend these teachers
Thank
who
you.
have had the courage to come out tonight. I know it's not been easy for them. I know many of them have feared to come out publicly for fear of their jobs. I mean, I had a meeting with Dr. Carter last week. I feel like we had a very intense conversation. There were some things that came to my attention that greatly disturbed me. And even though the public hearing may have been months ago, there are issues that are perpetuated, and they've grown and they've intensified. And if you would just allow me, I would like to speak some on behalf of the teachers and their concerns. Is that okay, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, I'm not going to try to shut anybody
Okay.
down. I mean, we're in citizens' time.
First of all,
Well-
when Dr. Carter and I met last week, I think that we both agreed that the salary scale is somewhat outdated. Maybe perhaps even say grossly outdated. And so we did talk about that. I expressed to him, and I think maybe there was some concurrence, that it needs to be totally revamped. And I expressed to him that I would like to see an incremented salary scale, as I've seen in industry and private sector. The thing that disturbs me, I've heard from many, many teachers, and I'm sure many of you have, and you have, some of you are teachers, principals, and you have teachers in your families. But some of the things that I heard, we wanted to address retention and recruitment. That's a two-pronged thing. And I think that we address recruitment because the beginning salary for a new teacher now, if we have a teacher that's been here 15 years, a new teacher is only going to make about $3,300 less than a person who's been in the classroom for 15 years. I don't have so much concern for administration because I feel like the salaries are pretty competitive there. I mean, as far as principals with 60, 70, 80,000 or more, and of course that's based upon the school that they are principal over. I feel like maybe we're okay on that end. However, I feel like these people in the middle are the ones that are dropping through the cracks. And when you have insurance, there was a teacher who shared with me, she started in 1996. Her take-home pay was $1,440 a month. Her take-home pay today is, in 1996 it was $1,400. Today it's $1,440. The family plan insurance share for the teachers on the family plan is $1,441. I know, as we're saying, this is something that goes to the school board, and they draft their proposal, and they administer their budget. However, we're all citizens of this county. I look around and I see teachers, some of whom taught my daughter years ago, And many of you are teaching my grandchildren. And when I hear you talk about how you cannot make ends meet or make it to the end of the month, and how you take money out of your own pockets to pay for classroom materials, it breaks my heart. I know we didn't get to this point overnight, and I know it's not going to be addressed overnight. But as Dr. Carter and I spoke, I think that we need to make a commitment to take close looks at this and to try and remedy it. This is a crisis. And then when I look at salaries for support staff, for example, an aide with a degree, her range is from $14,021 to $14,954. Without a degree, it's $11,434 to $12,195. Now I want to ask each of us here, each of us in this room, can we live on that? I don't know how we get people to serve in those positions. So I think it's time for a strong dialogue to start. I think that to just merely try and look the other way or give promises that don't come to fruition, I know it takes funding and money, but I think that we need to look at this and to come up with some viable plans. And Dr. Carter, I appreciate your time meeting with me. I appreciate all the work on the school board, and I know that you can only do so much with so much money, but I really hope that we will have a strong commitment to address this and to move ahead and to rectify some of this.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry, Mr. Morris. I just have one more question.
Sure.
So, next year, we need to be watching the Smith County School Board's webpage and find out when you're having your...
Well, we actually,
Yes, if you would, Mr. Carter, that's totally fine.
we actually communicate that, that's when we put it on our school board website as well. Our board, when we're in the beginning development of the budget, that's the time to come speak to our board. Yeah, and for my tenure, a short tenure of 3 years, I don't think that we've had a single person come speak in our board. So we welcome you. We welcome you to all our meetings. Second Monday of every month. Closed session is at 5, open session, I'm plugging, I feel like...
No, you go right ahead. That's kind of the message I was trying to get across.
Sure, and our general meeting starts at 6, so if you'd like to come to our meeting, always second, that's been Sunday. Second Monday starts at 6, and we love to have you. But as far as the budget process, we have it on the website, it's published in the paper, and we communicate.
It's usually in March.
February, March.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, could I make a follow-up statement to that? I would like to mention, and Dr. Carter, you and I discussed this privately, and
I'm sorry?
you assured me, I told you many teachers are very reluctant to come forward, as in any organizations we talk, because of fear of retaliation. So for the ones who are sitting here tonight, there are numbers who are afraid to come forward. I know I have your word and your commitment, and those of your board and our board, that if there should be any type of retaliation, that would not be acceptable,
Absolutely.
right? So,
We welcome, and I spoke with a couple of you today to actually encourage coming to our board meetings. Our board, Mr. McCann's here, and I don't know if we have any other board members here or not, but we love to have visitors at our board meetings. Typically, it's Dr. Spencer, Ms. Baer, and Dr. Ballinger, and the board, and that's about the extent. So welcome anyone.
And I hope I've not scared anybody coming tonight. I hope you can come here anytime. I just, this is just, the school, I just want to, and I know we're all Smith County, and I'm trying to get that across, but it's a total different animal, so to speak. I mean, and that's why with your comments on, I don't know what you would like for this board to do differently. I mean,
I think it's going to take a combined effort, Mr. Chairman.
Right.
Like I said, this didn't happen overnight, and it's going to take some time to offer some remedies, and it's going to take some commitment and funding. And we know that doesn't happen overnight. But when they're not making a living wage, then we've got a crisis.
Right.
And we're losing them to adjoining counties. Like I said, I think we're addressing the recruitment part, but I don't think we're addressing the retention part.
And again, without throwing anything under the bus, I just would like to say from the county's perspective is that the school has presented us with their budget, and the county is looking to vote on that tonight at 100% funding of what they asked, so.
Up or down, accept or deny, not change it.
Right, right. So, and Mr. Atkins had just made a point that, could you tell what you just told me about the voting last
At the
night?
school board meeting last night, the school board voted to start a study involving all levels, and Dennis can correct me here on this, to start a study on the step levels involving all levels of teachers. In other words, not some outsider doing it, but doing it with the teachers involved to try to correct this before next year rolls around. So it's not falling on deaf ears, because they voted on it last night to get the ball rolling. So when we're at this point next year, hopefully we'll have more information and you'll be a little happier.
This board, I've been here 16 years on this board of supervisors, and have never seen a board member in those 16 years be anti-education. Anything that has been presented to this board in the education way, I think, has been supported. So I know I have personally, and I couldn't name a board member that I haven't felt that way about. So I appreciate y'all coming. If nobody else, oh, yes, Mr. Merce. You was,
Mark Merce,
yes.
and 131 Walker Street in
Thank you.
Howling. And I understand that this is a two-step process where, the school board submits the budget, and the Board of Supervisors approves the budget. My family moved here about 20 years ago, and it seems like during that 20-year period of time, it's always a crisis. I think about 20 years ago, was it an $8 million shortfall or $5 million shortfall in the county budget where, there was a lot of money that was just missing apparently, and it seems like year after year after year, it's always a crisis, and I can't imagine what would happen if Dr. Carter submitted a budget, asking for comparable compensation for school board employees compared with surrounding counties when things are always so close in Smyth County. I don't doubt that the solutions are probably much greater with at the state level with looking at different funding formula, and even at the federal level with considering different kinds of inputs into education, even at the funding level. But all we've got really is what we have here at home. Mm-hmm. And I think probably this two-step budget process, and that's probably part of the problem. I mean, there probably needs to be a concerted effort to address this, between entities, rather than one prepares it understanding the kind of resistance they might face, if that number, shoots up in any kind of dramatic way. I mean, it seems like, and what you're talking about with, a different kind of planning process moving forward sounds like exactly what we need to be doing.
And,
Mr. Chairman?
yeah, go ahead.
I agree with what you're saying to it, and I want to understand, and first of all, thank all you guys for coming. It is a crisis. I mean, you don't have to, I see it everywhere, every time I turn around. But here, and I don't want you to think that they just present it and we say, hey, okay, yeah, we have ongoing joint meetings with their board, our board, with our budget committee. Dr. Carter comes. It's an ongoing process, and we try to the best of our abilities to meet everything that they ask of us financially. Last year we granted some carryover funds so that they could do some capital projects to put windows in, I think Marion Senior High School or Chilhowie somewhere. Chilhowie, to finish a project. So we try to do everything we can. And I can almost guarantee you that Dr. Carter can tell you what rabbit hole I'm going to chase with this, because I'm constantly asking him about the C word. Everybody in here knows what the C word is, consolidation. Okay? Mandy and I went to Sugar Grove Elementary School together. I'm going to pick on you, Mandy. But I'm the last person in this room that wants to see Sugar Grove Elementary School closed. But when I sit in a joint budget committee meeting with your all sitting school board, and I ask the question, what's the number of students that we decide to close should grow? Because let's face it, nobody's salary increases until we have the same number of facilities right now as we did when we were educating ever how many thousands more, or hundreds more kids back in 99. You talk about 20 years ago. I don't know the number, but there was several hundred more kids in Smyth County schools in 1999 than there is today, and we still have the same number of facilities. And I want to thank y'all for being here and voicing your concerns, but it's a bigger conversation. It's a bigger overall conversation at the end of the day than just simple salary, because until the steps are made to address the C word, and again, I'm a Chilhowie warrior, I bleed orange. I don't want to see Chilhowie and Northwood put together. But if that's what increases I have a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. If that's what it takes to see that they get the same programs and services that Wythe County and Washington County can provide them, short of me having to move to Wythe County or Washington County, then that's what we've got to do. And I've been beating that drum, and I've been trying Dr. Carter dreads to see me come, because he knows I'm going to ask the C word. And, I appreciate y'all being involved and passionate about what you do. And please don't stop here. There is a process, and there is a budgeting process, and I think, you all being involved in that and having a voice is important and vital. And thank you all for coming and voicing that.
Mr. Ray, I was going to close by asking the question, are we poorer than all of our surrounding counties? That we are not really keeping up with compensation levels with our surrounding counties? Or maybe the difference you're suggesting is that it's a matter of, have they consolidated and we haven't, and that is the one thing that allows them to do better?
I think that's a deeper question for the school board, it's no secret that we're limited revenue-wise. You don't have to look at those financial seats too long to see that we basically have one driving revenue source, and that's real estate. That's no secret. We'd love to change that overnight, but we don't have 81 and 77 that Wythe County has, and we don't have a barter theater that Washington County has. We're limited. Is anything we do as a board overnight going to change that? No. So that's why it has to be a bigger piece. It has to be a bigger conversation with several moving pieces. And y'all hear it in the community. I ask the question a lot, and I think there's lots of cogs that need to be moved to get everybody in here to where, you don't have. Hey, my wife's a teacher. There's times I look at it and I say, you drive to Washington County, and that's a mortgage payment difference. I'm not saying that. I agree wholeheartedly with what you guys are saying, but I do want to stress too that, I hate this saying, but we control the purse strings. That the budget is made by the school board, agreed upon by the school board, presented to us. Could we be a little, in what you're asking, could we be a little more stern with the purse strings? Well, we could, but then what's the political side of that? Well, look, they're not wanting to, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of moving pieces to it, but I think the bigger conversation is at the school board level.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
If I may, I think that what we're saying is all fine and wonderful, but we're having people here saying, we are suffering, we're in the trenches, we need a commitment that things are going to be addressed, and that's what I think we need. Mr. Adkins said he had spoken with Dr. Carter, and there is that commitment. So I hope that we can walk away from here tonight feeling that we are united, that we agree there's a serious problem, especially for these teachers in the middle. I don't know how teachers are making it. I got a response from one teacher who said last year she spent over $3,000 out of her own pocket. These are our children that they're nurturing, that they're teaching, that they're so dedicated to, and yet what are we doing for them? And it's this gap in the middle. Like I said, I think administrative, I think the salaries are very competitive. I don't know that they should receive the same percentage increase as these people in the middle. So I think there's, even without major big changes, I think there's some tweaking that can be done immediately that would give some relief and recourse to these teachers. Real often we say in our county, we're losing our talent. We're losing our students. They go to college, and then they don't come back here because they can't make a living. I look out and I see many of them who went to school here, who did come back, who have chosen to rear their children here at a great sacrifice, and they're big contributors to our community. It makes it a better place. And that's where they have my whole support, and I really want to see some movement on this.
Thank you.
Well, we appreciate being heard, and we appreciate Ms. Wyatt, kind of raising this issue, and so thanks.
I would like to, Mark, before you go back, I know you had made comment, and we're getting kind of way off track maybe from what we started here. I just wanted to put some people at ease, but you're asking about the situation of the county, and I know the first year I came here, we balanced the budget with a $6 million deficit. We balanced the budget with a zero balance. 3 years?
More than that.
4 years?
7 without a tax increase.
Without a tax increase. So we have done really well with the money that we've been able to use without having to cut services. Now, we've not given bells and whistles to departments, and because there's an $88 million budget, that's a lot of money. So there's a lot of departments that the county is in charge of, every facility you could imagine with the county, but they don't handle the teachers, so I just want to make a clarification there. I mean, we're behind, we do what we can do on our end of things. Our pie is X big, and we divvy it out. That's what the budget committee's purpose is for the county, and 3 of us are on this board tonight that, not necessarily what's biting the hardest, but you have to take care of things that the state cut out, and then it comes to locality, and the locality has to pick up. So you've got X amount of things, EMS, you've got fire, water and sewer, there's a multitude of things. So I do want to say it didn't go on deaf ears, and I appreciate you guys coming, and like I said, I feel like this board is very pro-education, and I think the school system, since I've been here, has realized that. So, more power to everybody. I hope it works. I hope that we could all do better. So, thank you. That's all that signed up to speak. Is there anybody else wishing to speak at Citizens Time? If not, I'll close Citizens Time. We're behind on some public hearings. I guess, should we?
Mr. Chairman, if you could give us a short recess to set some tables up, we'll have her.
And you guys are welcome to stay. We do have some public hearings, comprehensive plan with VDOT, so we got to set up some tables in the front for that. So you're welcome to stay. You might just have to scoot back away from the tables if you could. So thank you for coming. We'll take a 10-minute recess. Back to order. We've gotten just a little bit behind tonight, but we've got the joint public hearing, road additions to the comprehensive plan. It's on page 21 in our agenda. I could probably look up at the new screen now and get to it quicker than I could in my book. Ms. Richardson, would you read the advertisement, please?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I think maybe the planning commission needs to
come to order.
Call the planning commission to order.
Okay.
Smyth County Planning Commission notice of public hearing to consider amendments to sections of the Smyth County Comprehensive Plan pursuant to sections 15.2-2204, 15.2-2223, and 15.2-2225 of the Code of Virginia, 1950 as amended, at the Smyth County Planning Commission. The Smyth County Planning Commission will conduct a public hearing on Tuesday, June 11, 2019 at 5:30 p.m. or soon thereafter to receive public input on a comprehensive update of the Smyth County Comprehensive Plan, known as the Plan, being considered for recommendation by the Planning Commission to the Smyth County Board of Supervisors. The public hearing will be held at the Board of Supervisors meeting room in the Smyth County Office Building located at 121 Bagley Circle, Marion, Virginia 24354. The purpose of the public hearing is to consider adding certain roads identified in an exhibit that is on file in the Building and Zoning Office to the comprehensive plan, and for an
overall periodic review and readoption of the plan pursuant to Section 15.2-2236 of the Code of Virginia. Copies of the proposed plan and the maps are available for inspection in the Smyth County Administrator's Office at the address given above during normal business hours and online at Smyth County's website, www.smythcounty.org. All are encouraged to view the proposed plan and maps and attend the public hearing. At the hearing, persons may make comments regarding the proposed comprehensive plan amendment, subject to the rules of procedure of the Planning Commission of Smyth County. For questions and comments regarding proposed changes or persons requiring special assistance to attend the meeting, please contact Cliff Williams, ADA Coordinator and Zoning Administrator by telephone 276-706-8315 or by email at zoning@smithcounty.org. Done by the order of the Smyth County Board of Supervisors, Michael L. Carter, County Administrator, Smyth County Planning Commission, Joel Pugh, Chairman.
How do we need to start this out? We need to,
I think you might, and of course, Mr. Campbell's the attorney, and he can give the legal, but I think before you do anything, I think there's a consideration of waiving the rules before.
Yes, I move we waive the rules for this meeting.
Second.
need a motion and a second to waive the reading of the rules. All those in favor? Okay.
And there you go.
So I'm saying, do I need Clegg up, or?
I think if we could give a short synopsis of what the ordinance committee originally discussed about the recommendation that came before the board that ultimately ended in setting the public hearing.
Sure.
Then we'll take comments.
Yeah, the cliff notes on this is that VDOT obviously has the rural addition funding opportunity, and one of the requirements to qualify for that is that any road that's being considered for rural addition funding be identified in the comp plan. So instead of sort of wading through all the private roads in Smyth County and determining which ones would be the best candidates for the comp plan or for rural addition funding, the decision from the committee was just to include all of the private roads as an exhibit in the comprehensive plan. Therefore, anybody that applies for rural addition in the funding, that requirement that it be identified in the comp plan would be taken care of. Fair enough?
Sure.
Which makes sense. It'd be hard to pick and choose them, I guess. Yeah. So, did anybody sign up to speak, Kelly? Nobody has signed up to speak. Does anybody wish to speak on this matter?
Mr. Chairman, it might be appropriate. I think, Lisa, you have a couple paragraphs.
I do. I have.
Just for the language that could be added to the comp plan.
Okay.
And this language has been discussed with our attorney as well, just so everyone in the room can hear specifically what the language may include.
Okay.
Currently, the comprehensive plan that was most recently dated in May of 2013, on page 109, there are transportation goals. And this touches on this a little bit under strategies. Number 3 is continue to aggressively seek available state funds to upgrade unpaved roads. Prioritize the unpaved roads projects based on a set of criteria. And item 10 states continue to upgrade substandard subdivision streets to state standards through the rural addition program and cost sharing from property owners. Unfortunately, it doesn't state specifically what streets we have in Smyth County that need attention. And it's probably not defined enough, the information. So what we're proposing is just, again, a couple paragraphs. We can make it into one, or if we want to separate them. For the transportation goals, to number 1, upgrade existing unpaved secondary and substandard subdivision roads located in the county. Listing included as an attachment, and I have a listing here. There's 537 streets that may be eligible for funding improvements through the Virginia Department of Transportation funding programs, including revenue sharing, rural rustic, rural addition, and other funding programs. And then separately, specifically, in this instance, to include Evergreen Court and Green Acres Drive located in Chilhowie, Virginia as a priority for improvement to meet the requirements for the Virginia Department of Transportation's biennium FY fiscal year 21-22 revenue share application process and funding allocation. So in applying for revenue sharing for Evergreen Court and Green Acres Drive, some of the things they require is those streets be in your comprehensive plan. There's no guarantee of funding at all, but there's some things you have to get through that application process. One of those is it has to be in your comprehensive plan. You have to have a resolution from the board, which we have, and it has to be in your capital improvement plan or what we have in our budget. So on the budget we're going to vote on tonight, there is a line item that the budget committee has recommended to fund the revenue sharing for those two streets. So this just takes us another step in that direction, getting that project funded by VDOT, hopefully.
Mr. Chairman, may I add something to
Yes.
this? One for clarification, you're not voting on the budget tonight.
Not the big part, sorry.
Your
I
vote
saw
tonight
you catch her as soon as it came out of her mouth.
for a budget is for the school board budget,
Right.
not the overall county budget. And two,
Big pardon.
the reasoning behind the two specific streets, that is the only communication that we have received from anyone that requests a revenue sharing program. So in order to ensure, we've got 537 streets here, to ensure that those two specifically are identified. That's what the inclusion of that second paragraph is, to demonstrate to VDOT that, yes, we've named them individually. As Lisa did say, once the full budget's considered, that is built into it, so there'll be an adoption consideration of that, and makes it all fun because they have a July 1 submittal date for the Smart Scale program, which you do this through their new portal. So for Planning Commission and Board of Supervisors members, this is one of those hurry up and think about it kind of deals, because that clock is ticking, and ideally what would be requested is for some type of recommendation from the Planning Commission, up or down, or a change altogether tonight, and then consideration from the board tonight. Because if you ultimately adopt this, then it allows for the next 2 weeks to be spent compiling that information and put it in the Smart Scale program. So, no pressure, but there is a time frame with this one.
So our process tonight, the Planning Commission will need to vote on this and then send that to us as a recommendation to change?
Whatever their recommendation is will get sent to you, and you can take it, you can not take it, you can alter it, you can...
Will we do that on our second meeting of this month, or is that something we need to...
I'm asking you, Mr. Cameron can tell me, he can shake his head up and down or left and right, but what I'm asking consideration is to consider the changes tonight from the Planning Commission, for them to make a recommendation to you tonight, and for you to take whatever steps you need to do as a board to consider that recommendation, so that we can either turn it up, turn it down, or turn it loose here in one meeting. And Mr. Campbell, you can tell me where I went
I
wrong.
think you have a July 1 deadline, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, so I think you would need to, you're certainly within legal parameters to approve it tonight if you choose to do so.
Well, I know nobody's signed up to speak and nobody asked to speak, so I'm asking the board members if y'all got anything y'all want to say, and then we'll let the Planning Commission do what they want to do, but...
Anything that can get Evergreen Court and that other extension over there paid would be a glorious thing in my sector of the world.
Well, it just seems like that will really encompass us in the future, that all the roads will be considered, and then they'll be up for it they'll be eligible for, and it's all rural rustic, right? That's what 90% of this is over, which is what VDOT's the only money that seems like it gets to come our way anymore, seems like, is rural rustic, so, all right. Well, do we need to just sit tight and let Planning Commission do their thing? Joel?
If you could take a recess for a couple of minutes, I think we could make this.
We'll just sit here and watch you if that'll work with you.
I'll call the Planning Commission to order in regards to what we heard tonight, is there any recommendations from the board?
Oh, no, I don't guess I will.
Questions, deliberations?
I guess I will.
I just have my concern that it's overly broad to enter all the roads, all the private roads into the program. It might even incur some costs in the county, got to scan all those in. I think we need to be a little bit more cautious about maybe creating some private battles where one property owner versus another property owner might have a lot of money. You might have one person in a trailer and they get run out of the property and there's a 50-foot right of way that the state owns. So I think that we should be more careful about selecting roads instead of making them all on the plan.
I think the time constraint was why we chose to do all the roads. And Norman, can I ask you to kind of speak to what are the parameters of VDOT as far as, aren't they very strict as far as they have 90% participation or even higher than that?
Yeah, you're talking about a good bit of money on the property owner's side, but they have to pay half of it. And, you know, one or two of them says, no way, that's going into the project. There's no way to get the funds. Other people are not going to usually step up and pay those people's part. And, of course, you know, you have to have clear right away, all utilities move, etc. I don't know what kind of numbers they're using now per mile, but it used to be 300,000, it's probably $500,000 now. You know, it's expensive.
VDOT's, in your estimation, if somebody raises red flags, if there's 4 people living on this private road, 2 of which don't want it, VDOT's probably not going to approve that.
Probably not.
So there's a recommendation that we include all roads in the comprehensive plan, not stating that all roads have to go that route, but just that they want to in the future, similar to what they have on these 2 roads you mentioned.
Just one more thing,
Sure.
When reading the statute on that, you actually are intending, when you add this to the comprehensive plan, you're intending to upgrade those roads. That's something maybe Clay can speak to. We don't really have that intent to upgrade all those private roads.
Yeah, let me say, practically speaking, obviously, if your future intent is to develop any road, in order to comply with the law, it has to be in the comprehensive plan. So tonight, we've undertaken great expense to advertise, to conduct a public hearing. So if you have to do that on a piecemeal basis going forward for 540 roads, you talked about cost concerns for the county before. Here, you're doing it one fell swoop as opposed to 540 individuals. Here. So I think that's the reason for the inclusion.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask, when I make a comment?
Yeah, because I haven't closed it yet.
We've done a few of these revenue share programs along the way, and I can tell you that the magic number is 75%. That's VDOT, and what that 75% does is that's what enables the Board of Supervisors to levy basically a special assessment on the property owner. So if you have a certain number on that street and we've had instances where there was 73%, and how you get 0.5% of a person, I don't know, but we've had projects that didn't make it because they didn't get that 75%. But that's kind of the magic number. That's what enables this body to assess a tax basically to that project.
I just throw in, I know we did one in my area and there were 4 people lived on the road. One did not want to do it. It passed because it was 75%. So.
I'll make a motion to accept the agreement.
Motion to accept the agreement. Any further discussion? David. All in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed, please raise their right hand. Motion carries 6-1. Call for a motion to adjourn our portion of the meeting today. Motion from David. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. It's unanimous. As far as we're good.
Nope, we're good.
Thank you.
We're good. Guys, thank you guys for coming out tonight. Thanks for helping get this worked out. Appreciate it. I need to close our public hearing too. I hadn't done that yet, so thank you. Punch me.
So do we want to take that up?
Can we take that up currently?
I think under the parameters, you have the ability to address that recommendation tonight.
I move we waive our rules and go ahead and address this issue that they just voted on.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to waive the rules and address the situation. All those in favor? I need a motion to accept the recommendation.
I make a motion we approve the recommendation as presented.
Second.
From the planning commission.
Motion and a second to accept the planning commission's recommendation. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Well, but 20 minutes behind. I'd like to open the public hearing for the proposed Smyth County. Wait a minute. Well, we need to have if we're following schedule, we need to have ours before we go into new business. Our public hearing is at 6. I was going to go on to the consideration of the proposed school board budget, but I guess we better follow our time frame.
You can do either. The proposed budget, full budget, is just that. It's a proposed budget. You're not voting on that tonight. What you're considering as an item tonight is the presentation of the school budget.
Right.
So if you want to, however you choose to address it, Mr. Chairman.
You think since school board's here, good one?
Let's do this. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Well, we're going to jump to new business and move to the consideration of the proposed Smyth County School Board 2019 and 2020 budget.
Chairman, you have, each of you should have a copy of it somewhere in your stack. Just as clarification, Mr. Campbell, in considering this, I assume they have to adopt it categorically.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be read. Anybody need to? We read this at our public hearing.
If you'd like it read again.
No, I'm good. Mr. Carter, would you like to come up and address us, please? Dr. Carter, excuse me.
Matt.
Oh, yeah.
Make him do it without it.
Mic you up here in a minute.
Thank you. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak today regarding the budget for FY20. I would like to give our teachers accolades for coming tonight and in support of the budget, in support of salary increases and benefit increases throughout our division, not just our teachers, but for custodial staff, instructional aides, bus drivers, our entire staff. And I would like to articulate once again that I do believe that we have, and again, there may be some bias here, but I believe that we have the best county in the Commonwealth, and our staff is truly dedicated. And you know that. You have children, grandchildren that are within our system, spouses, and that are within our system, and I am proud to serve shoulder to shoulder with these people within our school system. And I would like to reiterate what was conveyed by the board today, and that is, it's a collaborative approach. To solve our issues as a school system, it will take us working together. And I do want to highlight and thank the working relationship that we have at this point. And Ms. White said before, we didn't get into this issue overnight. It's going to take longer than overnight to get out of this problem. I do want to give accolades and thanks to Delegate Campbell, who is sitting here with us, because and he and Israel O'Quinn for our area advocating for funding for public education. And we are approaching the second half of a biennium where we have seen an influx of funding for public education. And then we are coming out of a very dry spell. A dry spell from state funds for public education, and it was mentioned before, the ability to pay in Smyth County. It's a hybrid approach. It includes state funds, it includes local funds, and it's about an 80-20 split. The majority being the lion's share being with the state. And we did come with you requesting level funding this year, and again we've been had good conversations leading in that possible direction, and we appreciate your continued support of public education. I would like to take a minute to highlight another thing that was mentioned regarding, and Mr. Atkins mentioned this. Our board approved last night to form salary scale study groups, and that was a formal action by our board last night. And it's on the onset of coming in preparation for the FY21 budget. And we know that we, as well as you, know that budget work takes some time. It's not something that just happens the day prior to the presentation. And there's a lot of work that will need to be conducted to look at different salary scales throughout the state, within our region. And the viable, the living piece to this is including our staff in those discussions. And again, the teachers were here represented very well, and having those sitting at the table to discuss their salary scale is vitally important. And that would be, what we'd like to see is cross-representation of beginning teachers, step 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30. And not only just teachers that are on the salary scale, but those that may receive benefits with health insurance and those that may not. So we have a balanced view of the salary scale. As was stated before, I, along with our board, we know that our salary scale needs work. But again, we address the problem in an interesting way. And this year that we're coming out of, FY19, we approached it as giving flat raise to the teacher scale. Now, I do want to differentiate. Our teacher salary scale, we looked at a flat raise. Every other subgroup within our organization, we gave just a 2% raise. So what that equated to in the FY19, and I'm going back to explain the front, is that equated to $1,166, and that was for every employee. So that was the raise for this year. And again, the state mandate was to certify that we are giving a 5% raise over FY19 and FY20. So that 19 was taken care of by the 2% flat. Going into FY20, looking at the 3%, again, taking top of the teacher scale, calculating a 3% raise, that equates to $1,784 for every teacher going into next year. So while we, and again, the board and I feel like that we have been in a drought of state funding, and no offense, Mr. Campbell, but I do want to, again, commend you on your advocacy for public education. And we are seeing, again, within this biennium, first time in a long time dealing with the recession, of seeing some additional funds. So as our board, and we reacted, we wanted to reward the entire organization as well. We looked at level funding. A byproduct of that is, as we know, when you give level funding, it brings the bottom up quicker than the top. So that created some issues for us. As Ms. Wyatt mentioned, it created issues for us in the middle of the scale. And that will be our intent moving forward. We'd like to be able to fix every aspect right now. But as stated, it's going to take some time to get there. So we feel like the salary study group will help us get there. I would like to highlight one additional thing and talk about the raises for just a minute. And I want to talk about the biennium in totality, and I want to talk about going into FY20, what this looks like. And again, I am focusing on the teacher scale. I could have brought others, but I do want to talk about the teacher scale. At the top of the teacher scale, over the biennium, and again, keep in mind, this is addition of this year and next year. In total, is a 5% raise, the 5% that we certify. At step 25, that equates to a 6% raise. At step 20, that equates to a 6.6% raise. At step 15, that equates to a 7.7% raise. At step 10, that equates to an 8% raise. And at step 5, that equates to an 8.5% raise. Now, let me say this. We have a lot of ground to make up, and I'm not touting that as tremendous raises by any means, but we are seeing some movement within this. And the benefit to this year and next year, we saw a 0% health insurance increase this year, and next year a slight reduction of 2.1%, which means these funds were not, we've battled years where we give a raise and it goes to health insurance. This year and next year, the raise will be there, but that is not going to health insurance. The health insurance is maintained. Now, that does not mean that we do not have an issue with health insurance premiums, as stated. I'm not stating that. But the benefit of this year and next year is we are seeing some additional compensation. Now, looking ahead at FY20, the budget that was before you tonight, the raise, and again, I want to do the stair-step approach and tell you what that raise looks like. At the top of the scale, it's obviously a 3% raise. At step 25, it's a 3.66% raise. At step 20, it's a 4.11% raise. Step 15 is a 4.69% raise. Step 10 is a 4.96% raise. And step 5 is a 5.14% raise. And again, I do want to highlight that we are nowhere where we would like for our employees to be, and I don't think we're where you would like for our employees to be. But through state funds, it is looking promising, at least for the second half of this biennium moving forward. A couple of things that we did just to highlight, and I don't want to take too much of your time, but we were able to give a $300 bonus at Christmas this year, and we are due to we budget $200,000 of Medicaid revenue yearly, and at the end of the year, and the end fiscal year, we have a balancing month. And that could come in where we end up having to pay Medicaid back to Medicaid, or we receive additional Medicaid funds. We received Friday afternoon our balance out as an additional $150,000, and we worked with the board, and the board approved last night at the end of June a bonus for employees that will be a $200 bonus for full-time and a $100 for our part-time employees. So that our board is committed to putting as many dollars into our staff's pocket and bank accounts as they can. So we have a very kind, caring, considerate board that is receptive to ideas and want to move this division forward with you all support. What questions may I answer for you prior to moving forward? And I do want to say that we are excited about the possibilities, and the possibilities of the information coming out of our salary study scales. We've actually presented it to principals today. Mr. Blevins was there, and as well received by our administrative staff, and I'm sure it will be by our teachers too. But having a seat at the table with our board and potentially with you all too to discuss long-range plans for having a solution to this issue is exciting and encouraging.
Thank you, Dr. Carter. Questions, anybody? Comments?
I just want to say thank you guys for addressing the situation, your board and your staff. We have open dialogue year-round. We're all well aware of the issues. I see your efforts in the capital projects that you've done. I drive by Chilhowie High School every day and see, that done wonders. Those windows in the cafeteria and stuff, and same at Marion. Thank you guys for what you are doing, and we're 114%, I think, of our required local match. I'd love to see us find some funds and some revenue to get that higher. And I think that's something too. We have a required. That's something that didn't get brought up earlier. We have a required local match as a locality that we're by the state of Virginia that we're required to contribute, and we're 114% of what that requirement is. So, again, anything to improve upon that, we're definitely open to look at. But thank you guys.
Thank you.
Dr. Carter, I'd like to say, I appreciate your attention to this. I look forward to hearing reports periodically as you make progress. Because obviously the teachers, like I said, I don't feel so much as principals, and some of those higher positions are so critical. You know, principal making $68,000, perhaps a spouse is making $72,000. They're not in as dire a situation as these people that are caught in the middle. So I look forward to seeing some progress in this.
Dr. Carter, thank you. Just to reiterate some of what Curtis said, I appreciate what you guys do. I know, all of us would. We'd all like to be making more money, and I know the importance of those teachers and what they do. I'm very, very familiar with that. So I think you get full board support on moving in any kind of direction to rectify that. So again, thanks, and the open dialogue I think has worked wonderful. And I hope tonight, didn't mean to cast any kind of shadows whatsoever. Just to be open about it and try to, I think that there was a little bit of confusion tonight even on how to go about it, or where, when and where and why. So maybe word could get out, whatever brought them here tonight, and get out next time, and they'll know where to go. So, but I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Before we move it along, one, I would like to thank the school board and employees for coming. I appreciate all that you do. I know Ms. Williams is here as the vice chair. I would also just like to say that the chairman, Jesse Choate, is having some health issues.
I meant to ask about him. Thank you.
Please keep him in your prayers. But before we get to the votes, I, Rick Levins, declare that I have an immediate family member who is employed by and receives an annual salary by the Smyth County School System. And I also am employed by the Smyth County School System. I may have a personal interest in the transactions, but I believe my judgment is not impaired and can render a fair and impartial decision and vote on this matter.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
I have a concern about that. How do you vote for yourself a raise or your spouse a raise without a special interest in your boss's raise? And that's just, maybe there's not a response for that, but I just...
Well, there is. I'll hand her a copy of the
I know that there's been a
Coordinated
ruling,
Advisory Committee.
but just as a citizen of Smyth County, I've raised that question.
Oh, there might be your answer.
I'll read that code section if you don't mind.
Yeah, let me read mine, and you can come to yours and read yours as well, if that'll work.
Well, and I'd like to read the code.
You got the code, Rick?
Yes.
You can read the code. I'm saying, I wonder if the citizens of Smyth County feel
No,
this
you
is
got this, right.
a fair thing.
I, Todd Dishner, declare that I have an immediate family member who is employed and receives an annual salary from the Smyth County School Systems. And however, despite my disclosure of this fact, and while I may have a personal interest in the transaction, I believe my judgment is not impaired, and I can render a fair and impartial decision and vote on this matter.
And I, Curtis Ray, declare that I have an immediate family member who is employed by and receives annual salary from the Smyth County School Board. However, despite my disclosure of this fact, and while I may have personal interest in the transaction, I believe my judgment is not impaired, and I can render a fair and impartial decision and vote on this matter. And the Commonwealth of Virginia and the Office of the Commonwealth Attorney has actually rendered a conflict of interest advisory opinion. And if anybody is listening in, or anybody that wanted to check, the codes that they referenced that allow for what has been questioned are sections, Constitution of Virginia, Article 7, sections 4, 5, and 6, Virginia Code sections 15.2, 1534 and 1535 are the codes referenced, and in response to that conflict of interest ruling that has been taken care of and already noted. So I just think it's fair that if it's going to be questioned, that there's a ruling already out there, and that question's already been answered, and I think it's fair that that be said too.
So now I need a motion to consider the Smyth County School Board budget for 19 and 20.
I'll make a motion to adopt the budget as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to say I do fully support Dr. Carter and his staff and in the school board. I appreciate everything they do. But considering what I feel like are two major issues with this inequity in the middle salary ranges and the health insurance, then I vote no.
Noted. Okay, thank you, guys. I guess we have to go back to our public hearing. Public hearing for the proposed Smyth County budget for 2019-2020 on page 22 and 25 in our agenda. Mr. Carter, don't know if you or Ms. Richardson are taking turns.
I'll take this one. I would like to, once it gets on your screen, I know everyone would like to hear me identify each and every line, but once we get it on the screen, I'll be glad to hit the announcement, hit the totals, and if anyone has any questions thereafter, address it in that fashion, if that's appropriate. Just go to the advertisement first. Okay. Notice of public hearing on proposed Smyth County budget for fiscal year July 1, 2019 to June 30, 2020. Pursuant to Section 15.2-2506 of the Code of Virginia of 1950 as amended, a public hearing will be conducted by the Board of Supervisors on the budget for informative and planning purposes in the Board of Supervisors meeting room at Smyth County Office Building, 121 Bagley Circle, Marion, Virginia, Tuesday, June 11, 2019 at 6 p.m. or soon thereafter, at which time any citizen of the county shall have the right to attend and, subject to the rules of procedure of the Board of Supervisors, state his or her views. The budget is for informative and fiscal planning purposes and will not be approved, adopted, or ratified by the Board of Supervisors on Tuesday, June 11, 2019. The budget synopsis is prepared and published for informative and fiscal planning purposes only. The inclusion in the budget of any item does not constitute an obligation or commitment on the part of the Board of Supervisors of this county to appropriate any funds for that purpose, except as it relates to the budget for the Smyth County School Board, which is governed by Virginia Code 22.1-93. This budget has been prepared on the basis of estimates and requests submitted to the Board of Supervisors by numerous offices and department heads of this county. There are no allocations or designation of any funds of the county for this purpose, for any purpose, until there has been an appropriation for that purpose by the Board of Supervisors. A full copy of the proposed Smyth County budget is on file in the office of the County Administrator, 121 Bagley Circle, Suite 100, Marion, Virginia, and may be viewed during regular business hours, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday. And again, I will start with the page 22. The revenue portion. I will go to page 23 at the bottom, following the columns. First column to your left, and this is all inclusive. FY 2019 budget was $81,784,507. Proposed FY 2020, $83,199,378. The difference is a plus $1,414,871. Also included are proceeds from short-term borrowing. Once again, in 19 at $5 million, in 20, $5 million, and additionally proceeds from financing, none in 2019, $900,000 listed in 2020, for a total county budget revenue in 2019 of $86,784,507, proposed 2020, $89,099,378, for an increase of $2,314,871. For the audience, the line items are identified on the screen. While you're looking at those, I'll go to the expenditures. Once again, expenditures begin on page 24 and end on page 25. For FY19, subtotal of expenditures, $80,743,707. Proposed 2020 is $82,097,262 for an increase of $1,353,555. Also included is payment on a line of credit, and 19 was $5 million, and the proposed 2020 is $5 million. The courthouse debt service in 19 was $1,040,800, and the proposed 2020, it's $1,102,116 for an increase of $61,316. And capital projects in 2019 was $0. In 2020, it's proposed at $900,000. The total county budget expenditures, 2019, $86,784,507. Proposed 2020, $89,099,378, with a difference of $2,314,871. In addition, the tax rates for 2019, in preparation of the above budget for the Smyth County Board of Supervisors, they propose no changes in the current tax levies as follows. Pursuant to Virginia Code 58.1-3001, the board proposes to readopt a real estate levy on taxable real estate in Smyth County, including equalized real estate where applicable, a unit levy of 74 cents per $100 of assessed value. Tax on tangible personal property and tangible personal property of public service corporations, except rolling stock of corporations operating railroads, a unit levy of $2.30 per $100 of assessed value. Machinery and tools, $1.55 per $100 of assessed value. Tax on Category 23 items, which are trucks used in interstate commerce over 10,000 pounds, a unit levy of $1.55 per $100 assessed value. Tax on merchants' capital, a unit levy of 40 cents per $100 of assessed value. And airplane tax of $1.40 per $100 assessed value. Additionally, there are no fee structure changes in the proposed 1920 budget. And not certain how you want to handle the rules.
Mr. Chairman, I move we suspend the reading of the rules.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to waive the reading of the rules. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Has anyone signed up to speak?
I have someone that submitted something that they request be read.
All right.
In the public hearing. You want to take care of that at the end?
Sure, no, you go ahead.
Okay.
We're taking comments now, so.
This is it's from John Clark, Town Manager of Chilhowie. It's just, Smyth County Board of Supervisors, dear ladies and gentlemen. I'm submitting this comment for inclusion on the records for the county's proposed 2019-2020 budget. In that budget, it appears the Chilhowie Fire and EMS Department is being proposed an increase in funding from this year's $66,040 allocation to $93,777, an increase of approximately 42%. It also appears that Marion and Saltville Fire and EMS Departments received approximately the same proposed increase as did non-municipal fire departments and EMS organizations. Although in Chilhowie's case, this stipend does not cover the cost of providing 67% of the calls outside the corporate limits that occur yearly, affecting the department's budget of $626,858. It certainly is a step in the right direction. This is the second year of a substantial increase by the board, and we applaud the board's commitment to this literally life and death matter. As you know, fire and EMS is becoming a more and more important issue in the Commonwealth and nation as voluntary membership is dwindling and requirements and cost is increasing. In our own county, we have witnessed these issues with the Saltville life-saving crew situation just this year, as well as our own. On behalf of the town of Chilhowie, I would like to thank the board for their renewed attention to this matter, and it's signed John Clark, Town Manager of Chilhowie.
Thank you. John Graham.
Chairman, members of the Board of Supervisors, I'm John Graham. serve as the clerk of the Circuit Court for Smyth County, and I live at 611 East Main Street. I actually walked here tonight, so I'm live pretty close by. First of all, I want to express appreciation for what you all do. Divvying up the best way to apportion $89 million of a budget is no small matter. That is a weighty matter, and I appreciate the concern and the deliberation that you all put forward towards that. I want to talk a little bit about how that specifically affects my office and our budget. And I thought, it may be the case that not everybody knows what we do. So I'll just give you a little snapshot of today as one example. Today, I spent a couple hours this morning with a grieving family that had lost their mother. And so we spent a couple hours probating their will. That's something that happens on a more or less daily basis. This afternoon, I offered congratulations to a couple that seemed awfully young as we issued them a marriage license, and we do that many times a day. On my desk, as we speak, there are about 10 concealed handgun permits that are waiting for us to review, and that's something we do on a regular basis. We processed several divorce cases, not several today, but I know we processed one today, and there's several filings that went through and all the civil matters that we do on a routine basis. It's also the case that yesterday, and they came on my desk today, we recorded about 20 deeds or other land documents, and that keeps our economy going in our community, making sure that's done efficiently. And I got to really give a lot of people a sigh of relief this afternoon about 4:30 when I left the message on the jury line that tomorrow's jury was canceled. So about 20 or 25 of your constituents are breathing better tonight, knowing they don't have to report to jury duty. That's a snapshot of today, and it captures a portion of what we do. And that's part of what the citizens of Smyth County deserve. They deserve good, efficient, friendly service, and we aspire to do that. It costs money to, of course, provide those important services. And what you may not know is that most of our budget is reimbursed by the Compensation Board as part of salaries, or is reimbursed by the Commonwealth of Virginia in other ways. The county puts about 29% of our budget that's unreimbursed or unpaid by the Commonwealth of Virginia. And that's a portion that's not 1% or 1/100th of a percent. It's 2/1000ths of the county budget. It's approximately $170,000 for the year. Now, for some perspective, I think this is an important piece of perspective. We send much more than that down the road to Abingdon on a monthly basis to the regional jail. We spend $250,000 a month at the regional jail, whereas my office is $170,000 for the year. Or consider, for another bit of perspective, you could take 2 months of what we spend on solid waste disposal, which is $119,000 a month. 2 months of that, and you've paid my salary at my office operations for the year, and perhaps that's an important piece of this puzzle to remember. It will not surprise you to know that our criminal caseload has skyrocketed. In 2015, calendar year 2015, we commenced 1,075 cases. The next year, we commenced 1,110, so a modest increase. In 2017, it increased to 1,600, so 1,612. That's a 45% increase. And with every case that's filed, there are a dozen motions, as Mr. Campbell knows very well. They're setting those things for trial. There are discovery motions. There's interaction with the lawyers and probation officers and magistrates. And some of those folks, when they're convicted, they go on probation, and then they're probation violations. And then we're very pleased now to have a drug court, and all of that is part of a criminal caseload. And it is a lot. It is a lot of commitment. As you know, jail costs have skyrocketed as well. In 2015, as I read some of the budget numbers here, you were sending $1.8 million for the regional jail. This year, you're budgeting $3 million, just a lip over $3 million. So that's the caseload, that's the criminal caseload that is rising in Smyth County. Now, as a result of that, in part, the General District Court received another judge. Okay, so they no longer have 2 judges. They now have, as of July 1st, we'll have 3. We no longer will have 3 circuit court judges. We will have a 4th circuit court judge in our circuit. The General District Court received an additional staff person. That's all related in part because of the increase in the criminal caseload. It is a substantial concern, not only for my office, but for all who work in the criminal justice system. And while these other offices have gotten additional resources, we've had to deal with reduced human power, manpower. In 2017, my part-time budget was reduced by 58%, and a third of that was restored. But I'm still trying to handle this skyrocketing caseload with a reduced manpower problem. And it is a very difficult situation. Last year, I made this appeal and was unsuccessful with the board. And I threw a Hail Mary pass to the compensation board. And I said, you know, I can't imagine I'll be successful, but I made a pitch to the compensation board, and lo and behold, they were convinced. Yes, you've got a problem. You need some emergency funding to make it. And so, for the last 9 months of this fiscal year we're in right now, they sent me enough money to pay 20 hours a week another part-time person. And that has made a difference in us being able to manage this situation. Well, that was a one-time deal. That was not to be repeated. We have a particular challenge now because my chief deputy clerk, who is also the head of our criminal division, is going to be on medical leave for 4 to 8 weeks. And that's going to be very difficult for us in this reduced, in the state we're in right now. It will be very difficult. And without your help providing me with sufficient funding, the wheels of justice are going to slow down. I mean, we just don't have the manpower to do that in the way that we want. Now, I don't simply want to come and sing a sad story and say I need some funds. I also want to give you a possible way to find a little bit to help me. And I brought this to the board's attention a couple years ago, and I think there were some receptive ears to it. It wound up that something else was approved, and that helped me nonetheless. But there is a $4 fee that is assessed to every civil case that's filed in Smyth County, both to the General District Court or to the Circuit Court. It's a $4 fee, and it's earmarked. It is only to be used for the law library. Most people wouldn't know we had a law library, but you have to go through my office, and it's on right in the hallway right before you would come to the Circuit Court Judge's office. And it is available. It is open to the public every day. One of my staff members, Joe Rogers, routinely goes in there and turns on the lights, and very few people use it. But those funds that we're collecting are $4, and that's a designated purpose both under the county code as well as the Code of Virginia. But they are not being used for that purpose. You should know that this year, so we're through the month of May, the total that was collected for that purpose has been so far $10,974, and with one more month to go, safe to say we're going to have $13,000 or so, close to that, 12,000 at least. And so one thing that can be done is that could be a source of funding for my office, since we are the ones who open the doors and turn on the lights and make sure that it's properly outfitted as a law library. That's one way that you could, I'm showing you there's some funds, there's a source of revenue you can put on the revenue side to match a disbursement on the disbursement side. So I appreciate what you do. I know you face a lot of challenges. I certainly hope, though, that you'll help me provide the best service that we can to the citizens of Smyth County.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Mr. Graham was all that had signed up to speak. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak? Board members, does anybody have questions before I close the hearing? I'll close the hearing. Thank you. Fellas, I'm going to try to get to y'all because I know y'all are trying to get out of here too. Mr. Thomason's eyes are getting pretty heavy sitting over there. So I'm going to skip up to the Building and Grounds Committee recommendation, and I have that in front of me. Mr. Stevenson is the chair of that committee and is unable to be here tonight. Who else is on the committee? Ross, Mr. Call, he's gone too. So, huh?
And I am.
You're on the committee?
Yes.
Were you there?
No, I wasn't at this meeting, but I'm on the committee.
Well, I'll let you read it then.
Well, thank you. We had a Building and Grounds Committee meeting on May the 29th. Others present were Mr. J.S. Staley, who's also here today. When the meeting was called to order, Ms. Woods, Kelly Woods, presented an update to the committee concerning stipulations from Mr. Staley on a portion of land for the back of the Dragon Overlook project. After discussion about those stipulations, there were three that were discussed, but basically Mr. Staley communicated that he was no longer concerned about the first two items that were discussed, but he remains firm on the project being named the J. Stewart Staley Memorial Overlook in memory of his father. Ms. Woods had contacted VDOT concerning the deed and the request that Mr. Staley had made. Ms. Woods stated the Board of Supervisors procedure that would be used is the same as when you're naming a bridge in honor of someone. The Board of Supervisors would need to consider adoption of a resolution making the request to be named or to name the overlook. And the Commonwealth Transportation Board would have to approve the resolution before the naming takes place. Discussion continued. Saltville District, Roscoe Call, made a motion to recommend adopting the attached resolution, naming the overlook portion of the back of the Dragon, the J. Stewart Staley Memorial Overlook. Norfolk Supervisor Phil Stevenson was not in favor of this motion, and then that's what we have bringing to the board tonight.
So it did not come out of the committee as a recommendation because there were only two people present. So we're going to address it as a full board tonight. So in our, do we have a resolution in here?
Yes, next page.
Oh, page
38.
I'm on, let's see, I've got the revised one here, so, okay.
And do we need to read that in?
Yeah,
Okay.
Ms. Richardson will read it, I guess.
I'm happy to.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Richardson.
Excuse me. Okay, title, Highway Naming of Overlook Portion of Route 16 from milepost 41.30 to 41.35 near Walker Mountain Lane in Smyth County as the J. Stewart Staley Memorial Overlook. Whereas Dr. J. Stewart Staley was a prominent citizen in Smyth County, was a veteran of World War II, serving in both the North African and the European theaters, and was awarded the Legion of Merit for his service. After his service to the country, he continued serving the community as a doctor and was instrumental in the establishment of the Smyth County Community Hospital. and Dr. J. Stuart Staley passed away January 6, 1997, and whereas the Smyth County Board of Supervisors has received a request from the family of J. Stuart Staley to assist in naming and overlooking his honor, and whereas Section 33.2-213 of the Code of Virginia authorizes the Commonwealth Transportation Board, CTB, to give suitable names to state highways, bridges, interchanges, and other transportation facilities, and change the names of any highways, bridges, interchanges, or other transportation facilities forming a part of the system of state highways, and whereas the Smyth County Board of Supervisors adopts this resolution for the Commonwealth Transportation Board to consider the approval of naming the overlooked portion on Route 16 at milepost 41.30 to 41.35 in Smyth County as the J. Stuart Staley Memorial Overlook, and whereas Section 33.2-213 provides that the Virginia Department of Transportation shall place and maintain appropriate signs indicating the names of the highways, bridges, interchanges, and other transportation facilities named by the CTE, and requires that the cost of producing, placing, and maintaining such signs shall be paid by the localities in which they are located. Whereas, per the Virginia Code Section 33.1-12, the cost of producing, placing, and maintaining these signs shall be paid by the counties, cities, and towns in which they are located. Now therefore it be resolved, the Smyth County Board of Supervisors does hereby request the Commonwealth Transportation Board consider approval to name the overlooked portion on Route 16 at milepost 41.30 to 41.35 near Walker Mountain Lane in Smyth County as the J. Stuart Staley Memorial Overlook, and be it further resolved that Smyth County agrees to pay the cost of producing, placing, and maintaining the signs calling the attention to this naming.
There's a resolution before the board.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve it as written.
Second. Got a motion in 2 seconds. Any more discussion? Mr. Staley, I'd just like to say thank you. I think this project will move right ahead forward now. This is the step we needed to take to make things happen. So appreciate your participation, and Mr. Thomas and the Torres have been fighting for this for quite some time. So take a vote here, and hopefully this thing will move in the direction it needs to. All those in favor? Thank you.
All I can say, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You bet. Well, we're only an hour and 10 minutes late, so we need a public hearing for the Rich Valley Fair application on page 26 of our agenda.
You want me to read the advertisement?
I'd like to waive the reading of that. Make a motion to waive the reading of that.
We can put it on the screen.
Yeah.
I'd like to.
I second that motion.
You bet. So there's a motion to do away with the reading of the public. I don't know, we've had that happen before. Is that okay to do, I guess?
Yes, sir, for the public to see.
Mr. Campbell, all good? Okay. Well, I'll open the public hearing for the Rich Valley Fair Festival application. Anybody here, you wish to address? Yes, sir. If you wish to address us, that'd be fine.
Nothing more than what's on the agenda here. The only thing is, we moved the truck for which was originally set for the last night, which was August the 3rd, back to July the 20th, because we fell in conflict with Idaho, which would have killed either one or the other show, or probably both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the only other day that we could get our slave contracted. So we'll have added that to it, that'll be a Saturday before the fair opening on July the 26th.
What date were you adding?
What date?
Yeah.
Friday, no, That's July the 20th, that should be a Saturday night.
Well, we got on what we're looking at here, we've got Friday, July 20th already on there.
And it is a Saturday night instead of a Friday.
It's already on there, it was already on the application, but that was the only difference to what we've done in the previous years. We've always ran from Friday night, the last Friday in July, to the first Saturday in August, and we had to drop that one. It is on the application.
May I clarify?
Yeah.
We took the listing from the the application itself, but if you look at your count, that may be where there is no Friday, July the 20th. It's Saturday, July the 20th. So that kind of ties in with what Mr. Gillespie's saying there.
So your truck event is just moved up until that day, not a week prior to the festival, correct?
It is moved back to that date, right?
To the
Saturday.
To the 20th.
To the 20th.
To the 20th.
Well, we've got the 20th on here already.
That's a change from the previous year, is what he's saying.
That's
correct. Okay.
Yeah.
You're not having the same problem.
All right.
Yeah.
Should have read that, I guess, maybe. Okay, thank you. Is that all the changes?
That's right, the changes, yes, sir.
Nobody signed up to speak. Does anybody wish to speak on this matter? If not, I'll close the public hearing.
Do we need to waive our rules on this or anything?
There are two choices. You do have a second meeting in June, or you can just do it tonight, whichever the board feels they need to do.
If you want to do it this
Everything is in order.
I make a motion to waive the rules and take action on that tonight.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
I make a motion to accept the application for the Rich Valley Fair as presented.
With the change that.
With the
Saturday,
20th,
July
Saturday
20th instead of
20th correction.
Friday.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor? Fair enough. Does anybody need to take a break before we go on?
I'm not, I'm all right.
I'm good. You good?
You good to go? Y'all good to go?
I stepped out of
Oh, Campbell.
I'm good.
Okay. Consideration the acceptance of the Atkins convenience station deed on page 27 and 28.
Mr. Chairman, that's pretty cut and dry.
Okay.
Just the formal acceptance by the board.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Move to accept as presented.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any more discussion?
I have two questions, I guess.
Okay.
One, did we not pay them rent for the year starting in March? Did we get any adjustment for that, or?
Not according to our attorney.
Okay, so we paid the rent and then we bought it. And the second question is, did we ever vote to buy it in a public meeting?
Not in a public meeting.
So is this taking place of the vote to buy it? Okay.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Consideration the acceptance of camp convenience station lease, 29 and 35 in your agenda.
And Mr. Chairman, same idea. This is a lease instead of a purchase. The owner is not willing to sell the site this time.
Lease stayed the same, everything's like it had been.
Move to approve as presented. Tim.
Second.
Motion and a second, any more discussion? All those in favor? Got to do appropriations yet. I forgot about that. Schedule a joint public hearing with the Smyth County Planning Commission for land use map proposed changes within the comprehensive plan to July the 11th, 2019 at 6 p.m.
Mr. Chairman, I move, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Very quickly, this is a carryover from last month meeting.
Right.
There was discussion about this issue, but it was never acted or voted upon.
So it came back?
So we carried it forward. That's my
Okay.
clarification.
Mr. Chairman, after reviewing the maps and looking through the proposed plan, I think it actually prohibits growth, goes in the wrong direction as far as, I understand what we're trying to accomplish, but I think some of the site locations to me were a little questionable. There's one parcel in front of Chilhowie Elementary School that was proposed for commercial and industrial. It's got a stream that goes right down in the middle of it that makes no sense. You know, there's industrial development from there on all the way up to Natalie Knitting Mills. If that was an industrial site, it would already have one of those, because it's been the same owner. If you look at the land records, it would have an industrial site on it. I think it's the topography and the fact that half of it's in a floodplain because of that creek. You know, the right side of 107, sewer cuts off at some point there at the right side of 107, but yet we continue to capture land all the way up to the old D&H Tracker building. But we don't want to capture the left side, which has sewer all the way down from our transfer station. You know, sewer comes all the way down Sulphur Springs and all, but yet that's not a proposed piece. I just think there's significant gaps. And the third thing that I am kind of befuddled with on this is who took this up? And because I don't remember, you know, anybody from this board asking to take it up, or I'm just kind of confused where it came from. But in saying that, I just want to make a motion that we table this until a better plan comes forward.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to table it. Is there any more discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I believe that's the type of conversation to be presented at the public hearing, not here before it even gets there.
I don't think the plan's adequate enough to even have a public hearing.
Well, then I think it needs to be sent back to be revisited, not tabled.
There's a motion and a second.
We've got a motion and a second on the floor to table it. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Schedule public hearing for Conner Rock Green Cove Laurel Valley Association Festival application for July the 11th, 2019 at 6:30. Do we need to?
Mr. Chairman, that could, based on the previous, you could bump that to 6 o'clock.
I was thinking that might be putting it a little late. Can I get a motion to move that to 6?
Make a motion to schedule a public hearing and to move the time up to 6 p.m.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Extra holiday hours for the 4th of July.
Mr. Chairman, I'll think at your organizational meeting in January, you always go through an adoption of certain things. One of those is the holiday schedule. We always identify it as presented by the state or amended from time to time. The governor has felt good. I don't know how else to say it. He felt good. And he has granted an additional 8 hours on July the 5th to go along with the traditional July 4th holiday. So we wanted to bring that as information. I also wanted to identify that not always each department recognizes. I'll use, for example, we have water and sewer, solid waste, that have to sometimes work on holidays. For the solid waste department, we'd like to also have permission to close the convenience stations on that day. That's 2 days. That's not earth-shattering, I promise you that. But they'll clean out everything on Wednesday to allow for the operation on Saturday, but it gives everybody an opportunity to have that 4-day weekend that everybody kind of shoots for every now and then.
Are we going to stay open all day on Wednesday then, or just still the regular half a day?
It'll be half a day on Wednesday, but the employees, the full-time workers, will work that full day to clean up everything within the stations.
The Thursday. No, Thursday is the 4th.
No, the stations close half a day on Wednesday, but in order to make the operations fluid for the Saturday to follow, they'll continue to work that remaining half-day
Oh, I see what you're saying.
to
Yeah.
clean it out.
So, yeah, so the proposal is the day on Friday.
That's correct.
Okay, okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion to adopt the schedule change.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Dang, lost my place. Ordinance Committee recommendation, Ms. Wyatt?
The ordinance committee met on Wednesday, May the 29th. And Tom Burkett, treasurer, brought forward a request for the committee to consider recommending adopting an ordinance as shown attached that would allow 20% to be added to an individual's delinquent personal property bill to allow for offsetting the costs that are associated with the administrative, collection agency, and attorney's fees that are accumulated due to trying to collect the delinquent bill. Mr. Burkett explained for such fees to be applied in the collection process, an ordinance identifying the ability to collect such fee must be passed by the local governing body. After discussion, Saltville District Supervisor Roscoe D. Call made a motion to recommend consideration of the ordinance at a public hearing to be scheduled by the Board of Supervisors. Atkins District Supervisor Charles Atkins seconded the motion. All agreed unanimously.
We need to set a public hearing for this as well?
Yes. What works?
Well, I guess we need to vote on that first. Is that a committee recommendation?
Yes, sir, and I don't know what happened, but July 11th is not your second Tuesday board meeting. July the 9th is your second Tuesday board meeting. So,
Well, that was a committee, let's take a vote on that.
but I'm referencing the prior setting of a public hearing also.
Sure, okay. Well, that's a committee recommendation to set up. All those in, or any more discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Now we'll need to set one.
Mr. Chairman, I move we set one for the 6:30 time on the board meeting in July.
We need to keep 30 minutes in between them. I just don't know if we do or not. Because the other one's that Green Cove Festival permit at 6.
I did this one 6:15.
Yeah.
Can we do them at 6:15?
Or soon thereafter.
Or, yeah.
We're doing it at 5:45 and let's move there instead of back. Well, we can always do later.
How about the verbiage there or about?
Because in reality, you're going to have to go back and change the other one because you set it for the 11th instead of the 9th. So you set it however you like, but according to the 2019 calendar, second Tuesday of July is July 9th.
Who did that a while ago?
So,
I think it was given to us that way.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I'll change my motion to the fact that we need to set a public hearing for this at 5:45 on July 9th.
and that's for the ordinance, or for the festival?
Festival.
Okay.
I second that.
All right. There's a motion and a second to change festival permit to the 9th,
At 5:45.
5:45. All those in favor? Now we need to go ordinance committee, correct?
And then make a motion to set that one at 6.
Or thereafter.
Or shortly thereafter.
Not you shortly.
No, on the 9th. of July.
Is there a second to the
I
motion?
second that.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Personnel committee recommendation. Yeah, it's just for information's sakes, guys. There's not I can tell you what we did. It's in your minutes. We met, did an overview of the recent interviews conducted with the vacant building official position. There were 3 people were interviewed for the position. All interviewing, an offer was made to one of the candidates, and upon discussion declined the county's offer for salary, requesting a higher salary. The committee then discussed the need to appoint an interim building official due to the retirement of the current official. Mr. Campbell reviewed Virginia code in relation to such and found this as an appointment of the Board of Supervisors. The committee discussed the salary range and pay being requested in prospective candidate. After much discussion, North Phil Stevens made a motion to deny the requested salary, consider appointing an interim building official in the near future once additional information regarding the appointment is obtained and reviewed, and to advertise the building inspection position immediately, and all agreed unanimously to do that. So, does that come out as a recommendation and a vote? Okay.
Can I ask a question, sir?
Yes.
Were we within range?
It was
$14,000 difference.
So,
higher than what the one left at.
Yeah.
To come in at.
Yeah.
So
if they bid $14,000, he might come back. Give him half of that, he never left.
Yeah. So that is a committee recommendation. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor? We're dancing all over here tonight. We'll go back to the appropriations. General county, account payable listing, $860,147.63. Payroll, $732,529.81. Auto draft rule development, $8,974. AEP CenturyLink bills, $25,000. County administration fund, $5,000, for a total county appropriations plus carryover of $1,650,000.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor? Social services, on page 3, June 12th through June 28th of 2019, $304,995, for a total, that is the total for social services, $304,995.
Move we approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor? School operating fund, instruction, $6,726,904. Administration, attendance, and health, $257,675. Transportation, $629,108. Facilities, $445,165. Food service, $280,578. Technology, $169,332, for a total school operating fund of $8,508,762.
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Commonwealth Attorney Fund, $760, with a whopping 64 cents.
So moved.
Second.
Every penny counts.
What they gonna do with that 64 cents?
They won't buy a soda.
We'll get an itemized expenditure of
Well, we have it for everything else.
Any more discussion? Who seconded that? Did anybody? Okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Sheriff Fund, $748, $1,200.88.
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Recovery Court Fund, $749, has a carryover of $230.81. $762.08.
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? EDA Fund 4, $76,767.15.
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? I need a motion to continue, well, do I need a motion to continue it, or just continue it?
When we get there.
Yeah, I know, I'll do that, I just didn't know which one to do first. Will I need a motion to continue the meeting, or just continue it?
Let's continue.
All right, we'll do supervisor comment time. Ms. Wyatt?
I would just like to thank everybody who came tonight. I hope that we do move forward positively with addressing some of the issues that were brought up, and hope everybody has a safe trip home.
Mr. Levens?
I'm good, thank you.
Mr. Atkins?
A couple of comments I'd like to see, going back to our budget process. I'd like to see us, as you go back and talk about it, that you consider John Graham's request for some part-time help, that you consider the 3 fire departments, Tannersville, Mount Rogers, and Rural Retreat, and reinstate level funding for them, because that's a small amount for us, but that's significant to those small budgets. And they do serve a rural part of our communities. And I was happy to see that it looks like we put some school resource officers in our budget, so I was really tickled to see that, so.
Good.
Thank y'all for your work.
Good. Mr. Ray?
I guess one thing that I add in relation to Mr. Graham's comments, now I feel his pain, I understand where he's coming from, but as our sheriff says, we hope one day we're not arresting our way out of this problem. And I think there's a lot of things going on in the community, with the churches getting involved, with the things the health department's doing, things the hospital's doing, things Mr. Shul's doing, that hopefully we're not as many people. And I think the compensation board, the way I read that, and I may be wrong, but the way I read that is the compensation board is acknowledging their short-term needs. And if we're not indicting 160 people, hope to goodness we're not doing that year in and year out, then hopefully that'll cure it, and some of these problems will work themselves out. But I think there's positive things going to cure that strength. That's it.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody for tonight. Mr. Atkins, I appreciate you reaching out with the questions you had over the budget to where we could, and I would just encourage all of you to do that. If you have questions, not necessarily that we need to spend our time here in an open session discussing that. If we need questions or need answers, to reach out to us, and we'll get those answers together and communicate with each other. I don't know if will we have any more budget committee meetings. We've got some more budget committee meetings. To address what you said with Mr. Graham, I understand, and I know where he's coming from. I have talked with him on several occasions and reassured him if he had an emergency need for a part-time position. I know he had relayed the message tonight that he was going to lose a valuable person in his office, and I told him that the county wouldn't leave him hanging. I told him we'd done that with the sheriff's department before in the past. If we come up short and there's a dire need of something going on, it's a lot different than just saying here's 10 more grand or something like that. But we try to take care of what we can, and I'd like for our offices to know that we have their backs on what they need. Now, we may not give everybody what they want, but I feel like we're a fair board of people and give what we need to make the county function like it should. So, appreciate y'all's participation and the crowd for being here. I guess you just came to just checking out?
Hey,
okay.
He didn't ask for money.
I haven't addressed you tonight. I noticed you've been here quite a while. You're just here? You don't need to address us necessarily?
No, thank you.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm going to continue the meeting, and I've done shut my book. Excuse me, I have already closed my book. My wife would have killed me for that. For the
June 27th.
June 27th, 7 o'clock. Yeah, I need, that's going to take,